Daud.
Mr. Speaker, please. Mr. Speaker, front face of you.
Order, honorable members, no soliciting. No soliciting. I know all of you. Oundo. Pareo.
Honestly.
And
Jora, Mr.
the member right at the back, is that member for Uriri? Those are 4. We'll still take more.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask the PS. The PS has talked about boom. The boom she has talked about, is it per year or is it per month or what? What is the
that has already been answered.
No,
that they give twice per year.
Equal amounts or the same amount?
Yes.
Okay.
First semester, 1/2. Second semester, the other half.
Fine. Let me ask my question now.
That
was not the question, no. Mr. Speaker, yes. You know, going to university, it's not just tuition fees. I had a student who was going from Nehru, and he got very good marks and all that. He had to pay for the whole year accommodation fees before he even is enrolled into the university. Mr. Monari has said they should go. What Honorable Naika has asked, if he goes there, will he be sent back? Yes, he will be sent back because accommodation fees has to be paid up front, the whole amount. So if it is going to be like that, then how are the students going to study? If they do not have the money, accommodation fees may be 50 to 100,000.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just have 2 questions. Specifically, the first one, the timelines from the date of appeal and the timeline when the decision on what if there's been any change in the banding, how long does it take? Second, Honorable Speaker, the greatest problem in this funding model are the vice chancellors. They come and mislead the PS and the cabinet secretary, but when they go back to the universities, they give the registrars completely contradictory instructions. For example, I just want to pick up what he has been saying. You have to pay the accommodation fee in advance, yet there is this boom that is coming they're supposed to use. I've seen the chair of the university chancellors as here. Can he give a commitment to this country today, here, that they're not going to contradict whatever decisions they make at the Ministry of Education? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Agnes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And my question, the first question is that I want the PS to clarify to us of the deadline for the application. Because as I heard her speak, she said that first was the deadline, and then she said that these students can continue with the application in the schools. So I'm wondering, how will these students go to school, yet they are supposed to pay for the houses where they will stay? Then again, I want to remind them that the constituencies we come from are constituencies where there is no electricity and where there is no network. So at the moment as I was coming yesterday, there were so many students in town trying to struggle to apply for the bursaries. So did they really consider these students who are poor and who come from those areas where there is no network and there is no electricity?
Thank you. Uriri, member for Uriri. Uriri. So go on.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. First, allow me to commend your comments about this kind of funding we have. Because when I was doing my maths here, I realized that all the funding we are talking about can constitute around 80% coming from the government, the universities, of their need. So by declaring universities and colleges free, we'll need only to top 20% and we make it free. And Madam PS, if you ask me, I would suggest that we work towards making university and colleges funding free. And if you can make a proposal to Parliament to consider funding universities and colleges, I think we'll do a better service to the Republic. My last concern, which I want to bring as a suggestion to you, when you look at Kenya as we are talking today, we are one country with a lot of inequalities. You talk about my constituency, you go through Turkana and other areas. There are students who completed their secondary education and expected to go to the university and cannot access network. They cannot apply for all what we are talking about here. They don't have the information we are discussing here today. And if you want to treat these people equally, we must provide equal opportunities and allow them to report to the colleges, and anything which is required of them, let them do at the college level. But let us not expect them to be equal with others and do the same at the family level. It's not possible. Some parents are too ignorant of whatever we are talking about here. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, what's the point of order?
I think the ministry is living in maybe in space. Because let them know that in this country or in any African setup, it is the poor that produce more children because they do not have any TV, they do not have other entertainment. Their only entertainment is to produce children. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, if you want to equate students from national schools having been perhaps maybe well off, but let me say this, we even try in our local schools to produce students who can go there. Just yesterday, Mr. Speaker, I was sending hostel fee for my student in Laikipia University because he says, I cannot be admitted. I have to buy them suitcases. I've got to buy them everything. So there is inequality in the first place where teachers are posted. You find schools like Alliance High School, they have all the teachers they require and even more. But in our schools, they do not even have teachers. Yet we even perform well, Mr. Speaker. So let them come out of their imagination that it is only schools at national level that perform and perhaps that are actually well off. Let them actually come out, out of that dream. Otherwise, these inequalities are killing us, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
You hijacked that point of order to say something unrelated. Now, PS, we've taken the 4. I'll still give you, members.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I would like to request the Vice Chancellor, Professor Daniel Mugendi, the Chair of all Vice Chancellors, to respond to the issue raised by Honorable Wundo, and the Vice Chancellor for Laikipia University, Professor Rotich, to respond to the issue that was raised by Honorable Ondege on the making university education free. Monari here will respond to the issue raised by Honorable Daud on accommodation fees, and Zuki will respond to the question raised by Honorable Shimba on the family tree and equality. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Vice Chancellor, tell us, are you, Vice Chancellor, the biggest problem in this setup? That's what. Yes, KJ, what's your point of order?
The bigger question was on communication, Mr. Speaker. You did ask where the disconnect is between the ministry and the universities.
Your mic is off. Use the next mic.
Mr. Speaker, now that the opportunity has been given to a Vice Chancellor, maybe this would be the opportunity to answer a question that you had asked to Madam PS, but was glossed over. Mr. Speaker, you had asked, is there a disconnect between what the ministry is saying and what the universities are doing? And even on that, Mr. Speaker, the channels of communication, is it all being left to be communicated by the president, where the minister, the PS, the HELB, and all other people who attend to these issues in the Ministry of Education are mute to a point where you have had to call a Kamukunji to explain it to members of parliament. These members of parliament are good consumers of media. They are very well versed with what is happening on the ground, but they still do not understand this funding model, Mr. Speaker, meaning that the communication that we are being given here today is not trickling down to the ground. We are being told that they are using a multi-channel approach, which includes, I don't know, digital media, social media, and other medias. Mr. Speaker, the point is that all that has been said prior to today has not communicated to the publics in the way that it should. So now, could the Vice Chancellor tell us, are the Vice Chancellors sabotaging the communication? Are they part of the problem, or are they part of the solution that we are seeking, Mr. Speaker? Thank you very much. And this is in terms with the flow of communication. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Vice Chancellor? Who do you want to inform?
Mr. Speaker, I would want to inform my brother, Honorable KJ.
He's off the floor.
It's a very important point, Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
Last week on Saturday, the good professor of Embu. Yes. No.
Mr. Speaker.
Can I, Mr. Speaker?
I hope you are not attempting to answer for him.
No. I'm just informing that Professor Mugendi, I had an occasion in my constituency where a team from Embu University came to the function to communicate to the function which I had about the university funding model. Mr. Speaker, I'm not trying to protect Professor Mugendi in any way.
Order. Take your seat. Order. Take your seat, please. Take your seat.
I do not want to be informed.
Order.
Find him out of order.
Honorable Ruku. Order. Honorable Ruku, when I last checked, you are not a Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellor, can you respond to those concerns?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. I have two issues that I've been asked to respond on. The first one was on the issue of if the students come to our universities and they have not been able to pay the household component, whether we allow them to continue standing. And I want to answer in the affirmative, yes. And we have said that there is no student who should be turned away because they have not been able to pay the full household component. Every university has a mechanism that we have put in place to ensure that students will be able to pay the household component as they study. And many of us, the arrangements that are in place is that if they're able to keep paying something small, then they continue doing it, so that by the time we get to the end of the semester and we are about to do the exam, then they should have finished paying. So I want to say that we have communicated very clearly. We have communicated very clearly that to the VCs that they shouldn't be turning away the students.
Yes, Wabili Mureo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It's a point of order, is it?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I think it is wrong for Professor to come to this house and claim that there is proper communication. The elephant in the room, Mr. Speaker, is communication. We have so many forums of communication.
Point of information,
We look up to them, Mr. Speaker, as the epitome of knowledge in terms of communication. They have those courses in their degrees. Mr. Speaker, a simple communication through the X has not been expressed by these institutions. That's why we are here right now today, Mr. Speaker, carrying so many cards for Harambes because of communication. That's number one, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, there is a trust deficit on the system. We have not heard to what extent does this data is being unbundled through the system and how much is a human intervention. That's why you have a problem that people who are supposed to be in bundle 1, they are now in bundle 4 and 5. Mr. Speaker, I think before the Chancellor's communication, I think you need to address the clear forums of communication, because that's why we are here. We are not able to communicate to our people on the ground on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, Vice Chancellor, what you are telling the members of parliament here is that no student will be turned away on reporting day 1 for the simple reason that they have not been able to marshal accommodation fees, but they can pay along the way. Is that what you are telling the House?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of accommodation is different because, as you know, accommodation is linked from registration, and actually most of the accommodation providers are private people. But in terms of fees, that's what I'm saying, the household contribution, which we've been talking about, either the 5% in band 1 or the 10% in band 2 or the 20% in band 3, that is what I'm talking about, because that's the fees that comes to the university. There is no student who should be chased away because they have not paid household component.
Use the word will, not shall.
Let them answer the other questions.
They have answered.
Yes.
Point of
They have
information.
only responded to Oundo's question. There was one from Dawood, from Pareyo, and from the member for Nyatike.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
Yes, Honorable Mr. Speaker, sir. The other question was on the issue of communication and what we are doing as Vice Chancellors to ensure that we are communicating this message to our stakeholders. And I want to say that, yes, the message is a process. And that's why we are here today talking about the student-centered model or the new funding model. I'm sure members of parliament have even seen our peers in media houses. They have seen some of our officers in these state agencies, in our state agencies, and also some of our vice chancellors in media houses communicating about this new funding model. I want to say it's a process. It is something that is ongoing. What we have agreed as vice chancellors is that we are going to adopt constituencies that are in the universities where, the counties where our universities are located. And we've already liaised with some of you MPs, and I think honorable members of parliament, and I'm sure you know it. And we have said that we want to be accompanying you when you have your public embarrassers, when you are meeting with your stakeholders, so that we can be able to talk about the new funding model. And I'm sure it is on that breath that Honorable Rocco was trying to clarify that last week in a function that he was involved in, I did send a team to be able to do that. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that also as a Vice Chancellor...
Yes, hold on. Wamushomba, what is
Mr. Speaker,
agitating you?
Mr. Speaker, I'm quite agitated because it looks like we are wasting our time. We've been here since morning wanting to get clarity, serious information from people who are expected to disseminate information. If this is the style the Honorable Professor is using to disseminate information to us, what about the students who have no patience with him? We are wasting our time, Mr. Speaker. I think it is high time we acknowledge that this system is quite a mess. We must go back to the drawing board. We are wasting the life and the future of our children, and these people who are entrusted with information dissemination should be fired with immediate effect because they are doing a lot of nothing to our country.
Yes, Professor. Professor, let's hear the professor first.
Professor has finished.
Maklab, what is the problem?
Mr. Speaker, we are not interested in those stories of the professor. Mr. Speaker, what is very important to communicate to the country? Solution, if we want to sort out Kenya, today and now, Mr. Speaker, make a pronouncement to the cabinet secretary or the president to make a pronouncement to the children of Kenya that they all report to the university and do the necessary documentation. The documentation can be done in the university, the accommodation can be sorted out. So Speaker, two, so Speaker, make the ministry, the minister, or the president of the Republic of Kenya, make a pronouncement to the people of Kenya, the children of Kenya, that all certificates of students going to university be released unconditionally, because those certificates, national examination, the government paid for examination fee in Kenya, and therefore they have no relationship with payment arrears of fees in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. They were all paid in Kenya. Those two pronouncements, Mr. Speaker, sorts out Kenya immediately.
Professor, can you finish up? Order, let's hear the professor. Hold on, KJ. You raised an issue, let him respond. That's why he's on his feet. Let him respond.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and the members. I think we have communicated that it's a process. Honorable Member KJ, you raised the issue of communication, and that is what I'm addressing. And I'm saying communication is a process. All of you have even heard His Excellency the President talk about the new funding model, but I think it's a process, and that's we are engaging in that process, and that's why I was saying, as vice chancellors, we have a strategy, because we have said we will start with our students, our staff members, our senates, our unions, and then we also go to the populations using the MCAs, the members of parliament, so that then we can be able to get this information to the population. Thank you.
Point of order, Speaker. Point of order, Speaker.
Let's finish those four first.
Honorable.
Let's finish those four. Order, honorable members. The good Vice Chancellor has said that they will try. It's sufficient. Whether it's sufficient or not, it is you to judge. But what we have told the PS and her team, that even with this very good model, the deficiency has been communication. It is now that we are hearing that even children who don't have money should go and report. Those with distorted data should go and correct at the universities. This is something that we didn't need a Kamkunji to be told if it was communicated out there. So PS and your team, when you go up there, upscale your level of communication. And Vice Chancellor, you know, there are some constituencies like Turkana North that have no university. So if you are going to limit yourself to going to the county where the university is domiciled, then you disadvantage constituencies that don't have universities. Find a way, and this parliament will assist you. That's why I brought you here. We have the chairman of education here. If you have any message that requires to go to the public nationally, pass it on to the chairman of the committee. I'll give him free airtime in parliament to communicate to the public so that they can be able to get what you are doing. Secondly, you have taxpayers' money. You employ people to do communication in your ministries. Ask them to do this so that the public can get to know. Because the problem we are having is just lack of adequate or no communication at all.